699006833, meeting ID 89865395700. The agenda and packet are available at www.litchfield-park.org. Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item are previous meeting minutes. Possible approval of the December 12th, 2019 and February 13th, 2020 meeting minutes. Could everybody review them now?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of, gosh, it says December 12th. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And there's February 13th minutes here too.
I second.
Do we have to approve them? Do we approve them one at a time, or can we do both of them?
I believe we can do both.
Okay. I move we approve the minutes of December 12th and of February 13th as presented.
I second the motion.
All in favor of approving the minutes from December 12th, 2019 and February 13th, 2020, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Second will be presented by Matthew Williams, basketball court at South Park. The commission will discuss Mr. Jack Donahue's request to install a basketball court at Scout Park.
Good evening, RPG members. Good to see you guys. You will see I prepared a memo on this item. Well, let me ask first, can you all hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay.
Thumbs up.
Awesome. Thank you. I just want to make sure. As I said, I had prepared a memo on this item, which you will see in your packet. And we also sent several letters that were sent in from citizens. Most of those came today. One of those came late in the day, so you don't have that one yet. I also just received Miss Ellis's letter, and I sent that to Stacy. She will be sending that out to you guys also. Those letters were from the Kearns family, the Hirth family, the Kartsonsis family, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, and the Antonek family. In short, all of those families are against a basketball court at Scout Park for various reasons. One thing I would say on this project, of course, this was a call to the public request from Jack Donahue. As you know, we discussed this previously. This project, even if RPG recommended it to council today, it couldn't even go on the CIP budget. When I say CIP budget, I mean capital improvement project budget until June 2021. So a year from now. And that's just to get it on the budget. We have a 5-year CIP budget. So it would be in that budget. Of course, where it fell and what year would be by the importance of the project. So it would be at least a year before it could even get on the project list whatsoever. That being said, as you may know, this project is very dependent on the city center project because the city center project approaches Scout Park. With COVID-19, economy's down, the market's down, the city center project has been stalled because of that issue. You may remember we put 2 acres out for bid back in March in the city center project, and they received no bids. Again, because nobody's bidding right now. So the city center project has been stalled. So anything like this would need to wait first on the city center project to get going more and the park plan to go forward. This would be in coordination with that. Anyway, so, but again, if you, let me refer to my memo 1 second. You'll see my memo further down in your packet. In 1 second, I'll get there with you. Again, my memo called Scout Park Basketball Court. The 2015 plans for Scout Park included a basketball court. However, it was never implemented. Also, there's a discussion about moving Scout Lodge into Scout Park in the footprint where that basketball court would go. But again, that's a discussion. It's never went past the discussion level. As I said, it would have to go into the CIP budget if it was recommended by RPG And even then, it would have to be approved by council and to go in the budget. It couldn't even go until next year's budget. And even then, it would be a question of what year it was going to go into. And again, we've halted all CIP plans, again, because of COVID-19. City Council is being very conservative with their money right now because we just don't know what's going to happen, unfortunately. Right now, we're doing okay, but we don't know how the markets might change, how city finances might change. As you know, the world's kind of upended right now. So we're hanging in there to see what happens. As far as the citizens that put comments on here, 1 second, please. Bear with me. Again, the comments were from the Kearns family, the Hirsch family, the Kartsonis, thank you, Antonak family, and Miss Ellis just sent a letter also. Every one of these people or families are against this project for various reasons. Member Schwartz, did you have a question, sir? You're muted, Adam.
So yeah, I was going to ask a question. Mr. Donahue was looking for a basketball court to the east of Litchfield Road, and his thoughts were that Scout Park might be a good place for that. What prevents us from leaving the basketball court at the rec center unlocked during daytime hours? Because then we get a basketball court. It's not adjacent to any homeowners. It's supervised, because I can see the concerns that our citizenry brought up about it becoming, just a loud place, a place with a lot of litter, a place with graffiti. But the fact that that we have somebody within 5 feet of there, we have trash can receptacles. Why not just leave that gate unlocked? And obviously, just like when we reserve Aleppo Park for basketball practice, people can't play there at that time. I'm sure we would do the same thing eventually if we had a basketball court at Scout Park. We would reserve times during basketball season where we have practices. But during the other times, why not make that available? Why not just unlock those gates? It's free. That's all I have to say.
2 comments on that. One, we actually rent those courts. That's why they're locked most of the time, because we rent them, so you can't just go in there and play them. But I will say, even if they were unlocked, the basketball courts are closed right now due to COVID. Our tennis courts are open, because with tennis, you're 6 feet apart. However, basketball is very much a contact sport. And because of that, our basketball courts have been closed for several months now and continue to do so. I will say the basketball courts, people occasionally break in those courts overnight. They jump the fence. I've seen that several times in the past 6 months. So that is an issue we have with those courts. But that would be my main 2 answers. Would be one, they're closed due to COVID. Again, we do rent those out.
Who do we, we rent them out to other people, but we own those.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
So what, why not make them available during times when they're not rented? After COVID, we wouldn't open a basketball court right now, even during COVID. We have all the playground equipment quarantined off anyways. But I don't know, it just seems like a happy medium step to see if it gets used and see if it gets treated properly and go from there. I thought it was a solution that could appease all sides.
Okay. I will say, I think that's something we could look into. We couldn't make a decision on that tonight because it's not on the agenda, but we could certainly discuss that at a later meeting if you would like. Thank you, sir. But again, the 4 citizen letters that we received, as I said, every person was against this project, and mostly all for the same reasons. One, they said they don't want it near their homes. Most of them live close by. Also, they feel when there's been things like this close by in that area that hasn't been maintained, it hasn't been taken care of. They feel like it's a danger to the community, attracts a bad element, that sort of thing. The comment was made that the city let that park go. I think it's an important point to say the city did not own that park at that time. The park at that time was maintained by another organization, not the city of Litchfield Park. So it wasn't the city that let that park or that project go. I think that's an important distinction, that it wasn't us, it wasn't the city. And we do have courts in other places where we don't have problems. For example, at Aleppo, we don't have problems with a bad element being in that basketball court or drinking, however you want to say, it's not an issue. So anyway, but again, I'd be glad to go into the citizens letters more if you'd like. You did receive 3 of those. Again, I will send you Miss Antonak's and Miss Ellis's. You will be receiving those shortly, so you have those. But again, those 4 citizens, or actually 5 now, are all against this project. In my opinion, at this point, this project is a non-starter. One, because city center is not happening anytime soon. It would have to be go on the council budget. There's just several reasons. I think it's a non-starter at this point, in my opinion.
I agree.
Thank you, Matthew. We actually have 2 hands up, so the chair will recognize Joanne first and then Andy. Go ahead, Joanne.
Thank you, Anthony. I read the letters and I agree with all 3. I watched that deteriorate over the years because in order to get to the red course, you have to go past that. And when I first started playing golf back in the 70s, it was, it was fine. There were people playing, the kids were playing. As the years progressed, it really did. It was awful, the things that was going on. So I would be definitely against a basketball court there. Thank you.
You're muted, Anthony. Is it my turn?
Andy, sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's okay. Okay, I actually am highly in favor of the basketball court. I've read all the letters. I know most of the people that have written the letters, and I think that they're kind of projecting forward based on bad past experience, part of which I think they're stereotyping just a little bit. That's my personal opinion. And the fact that the park was not managed by the city, I think if the city was managing a park, it would be maintained a lot better. In my estimation, the basketball courts would not be lit, so people wouldn't be doing things there that they couldn't do any other park in the nighttime. I also did a little bit of homework, and according to a 2013 study from Forbes magazine, there is no statistical evidence that taking down basketball hoops reduces crime. There's an awesome, awesome project that's all over the United States called Project Backboard, where you do like an artistic painting on the basketball court they're beautiful. They're all over the United States. And there's also an article that I'd be happy to forward to anybody that's interested from the Athletic Business magazine that addresses crime on park basketball courts. I just think that it's not that bad. It's no worse than a pickleball court. Have you ever been next to a pickleball court? They're noisy. There's people yelling. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Chair recognizes Susan.
Am I unmuted?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I am in favor of basketball courts. I think our city needs to have diverse sports throughout the city. And I know there's not that many areas that we can do that in. And I do remember those basketball courts. It was kind of a shady area back then that, like Matthew said, the Litchfield Park city of Litchfield Park did not own that land and maintain that area. So yeah, it went to disarray and people were playing basketball there all hours of the night. But I think that was then, this is now. I also think that we can just table this, can we not? And discuss this when maybe we have a better plan of our destiny with COVID behind us. Just a thought.
Thank you, Susan. Mr. Schwakey, take it away.
Thank you. I think this subject's been talked about several times. Am I right, Joanne? We've had this come before us, and I think, Andy, you were here there. And I don't think any of us are against basketball courts. I think it'd be great. And I made a few notes. I can't find them now when I got the letters. I think we should consider it, but I want all these issues addressed that they're talking about. I'm sure what Andy has is a nice article and things like that. But I was here when a lot of that stuff was going on, the breaking into it and cutting the wires and things like that. So how are we going to prevent that from reoccurring We're going to have a park ranger go over there. We're going to have the deputies stop by. And what's going to prevent the guys, and I think it's the teenagers with cars that would probably turn their lights on and shine it on the court so they can keep playing if we didn't have lights. But what are we going to do to assure these residents that are going to be impacted by, as they were in the past, how are we going to prevent that from happening? And I guess, Mr. Williams, you got any suggestions?
Oh, sir. As far as the lighting goes, I mean, of course, you could fence it in. You can do that. I will say, as far as keeping kids from putting the lights on, I do think kids would put lights on and play ball at night. That they would. I've had that happen in other cities. As far as that goes, the only way you can stop that, honestly, is police enforcement, as MCSO. I mean, you can put signage up. And we have similar issues in other parks. Like, for example, big crowds showing up that don't have a reservation. And a lot of times we call MCSO to deal with those issues, and by the time they get there, the people are gone. And as far as fencing it in, too, like I said, we have the rec court fenced in, but people still jump it. They climb the fence, they go in there and play, whatever you want to say. I don't know that would happen at Scout Park. I couldn't speak to that. Of course, I read the letters as far as past history goes. And maybe we consider other areas, too. I don't know if Scout Park is the best place for that location for a court. Maybe you look at other parks, too, as far as good places to put a court. I think that's certainly open to suggestion.
I have a follow-up question, please.
Yes.
So will it become similar to the basketball court at Aleppo Park, or will it become, if it happens, would it be more like what we have over at the rec center? Are we going to rent out that basketball court also, as Adam brought up? I mean, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a public, or is it going to be run by the city, or how are we going to set all that up? Or is that to be determined?
I would say it would need to be a public court, just because it not being near the rec, it'll be hard to go there and lock it every time for staff, unless you want to get into renting out keys. I would say just make it a public court if that was something that was recommended.
Okay, well, I guess I would be, excuse me, one more and I'll be done. I guess I'd be concerned because I would see a lot of, grade school kids and middle school kids want to go there, but then I also see the high school kids that want to take it over after high school's out, especially during the cooler times of the month. So I think you're going to have some sort of regulations or something put together to do it. I don't think they'll self-regulate themselves. It'll be one group of people taking it over every afternoon and shut out the other kids. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other comments from the commission on this? Andy?
I would like to go along with what Susan said, and I think apparently at this point, nothing can happen because of the budget and what's happening with the city center. So I think maybe our recommendation, or if we have a vote or something, would be to table it. I just think that maybe there's a lot of people out there that didn't know about the meeting that really want to have a basketball court. So maybe you're going to get 10 letters next week from people who are in favor of it for various reasons. So I just think because we've gotten these 6 letters and comments from people who are against it, that let's not say no just yet and go along with what Susan suggested and table it until COVID's over and we see what's happening with the city center park.
If I could make a suggestion on those lines, if we table it till COVID's over, maybe next time we make it a more general park conversation to include possible other locations too. That would make it just a more broad conversation for that. Give us more options.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
So as we move away from this topic, I would just like to first thank the community for the letters that they sent in. Very detailed, very, in some cases, like really paint a picture of what had happened with those courts over time, and I appreciate it. And to just sort of piggyback on what some of the commissioners said, we would certainly want to have some kind of a future discussion about this, whether it's different locations, whether it's considerations on mitigating whatever risk there would be to have the detrimental effects of the basketball court there. And, who knows when I get one big part of this is we kind of have to see how City Center Park develops, right? And that might not be for a year and a half. So we would have to be prepared to have it tabled for that long. Does anybody have any other comments before we move on? Okay, moving on.
Wait.
Oh, I'm
do we
sorry,
need to
Andy,
make-
go ahead.
Sorry, do we need to make a motion or something to table it because it was an action item?
Yes.
So it says information and action. So is that right, Matthew? We do need to say to have a motion to table for an undetermined period of time until we have more information regarding Center City Park. Would that be the motion?
That is correct, especially if you want it brought back. If you'd like to bring it back, I would recommend the motion be that this item be tabled until COVID-19 is finished, at which time it can be brought back to the commission, something along those lines.
Okay, so now we're just,
I'll make a motion.
Andy, go ahead.
I make a motion that we table the discussion of a basketball court at Scout Park or another location until the COVID pandemic is over, and that's all.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All opposed? Okay, the motion is passed. All right. Next item, also Matthew Williams, COVID city facility restrictions. Mr. Williams will give the commission an update on COVID city restrictions.
RPG members, I thought this is something you guys would like to know just with where we are. As far as our facilities go, the rec did close down on June 23rd due to the fact that we had a positive case of COVID on staff. As soon as that was confirmed, we closed the rec down and had all the rec employees quarantined. That being said, we had the rec professionally cleaned for COVID actually yesterday. And the rec will be opening back up on Monday for limited hours. The rec will be open starting Monday through Saturday from 8 to 2. So again, that is reduced hours, and I'll get into the reasons why it's reduced in a second. Also, the pool closed down again on June 23rd. And after some discussion back and forth with our staff and et cetera, it has been decided the pool will not reopen for the summer 2020 season. And there's various reasons for that. But that being said, so the pool is closed for the summer season. We did lay off our lifeguards this week. Their last day with the city actually will be July 20th. Of course, they left on good terms. They come back in the future. It's certainly not their fault. It's just the world that we live in. That being said, we are looking to do the Odyssey Pool Agreement this fall. That's a group that rents the pool for swim practices in the fall. We'll still be planning on doing that because that does not require lifeguards. But of course, with the pool shut down, that means that we need less rec hours because there's just not as much going on. That we will have cashiers there as always. They'll be there to take reservations for sports, preschool, tennis court rentals, etc. That being said, there's so much up in the air right now. We're still taking registrations for fall sports. However, we don't know if there will be fall sports. We're still taking registrations for fall preschool. We don't know if there'll be fall preschool. There's just so many questions right now. As you know, the COVID numbers are absolutely screaming, and they're extremely high in Maricopa County. As I told my staff today, and it's changed. A few months ago, the highest category was your people over 65. Now the highest category is people from 20 to 44, people my age, are over 2/3 of the cases in the state of Arizona for whatever reason. You may know that currently the ICUs are at 89% statewide. So the numbers are just getting worse and worse. I monitor this as part of my manager's report. I keep track of these and hopefully it gets better soon. Anyway, city staff is telecommuting once again for the most part. Our offices are open to the public. People can still come in. Some of us are there, some of us aren't. If we're not there, we can set an appointment to meet with people. But again, we're telecommuting wherever possible until at least July 27th. We're trying to keep staff as safe as we possibly can. On that note too, we are getting some money back from the state for the CARES Act and some money from FEMA for cleaning supplies. And again, we're just trying to do the best we can. But again, that's my main points as far as facilities. The parks are open again. Playgrounds open months ago. They're back open full swing. City staff is doing a great job with keeping those sanitized the best that we can. Again, it's just a different world that we live in. Any questions as far as city facilities go in relation to COVID? Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, RPG Commission topics for referral to City Council. Discussion of possible topics for referral to City Council. Does anybody have anything? Okay. Excuse me. Staff report on current events. Matthew Williams and Richard Alvarado. The commission will review and possibly discuss the monthly reports provided to City Council from the Public Works and Community and Recreation Services Department.
Thank you, sir. RPG members, you will see my report in your packet. For those of you that are attending the meeting that aren't RPG members, this memo is also in the public packet, as you will see. Some of this I've already covered. We're currently doing registrations for Coach Pitch. Coach Pitch is scheduled to start on August the 10th again, assuming we get to play ball, we'll see. The pool is closed, as I've already said, same thing with Rec Center. We've paused our city line, which is normally quarterly. We haven't done one since March because we don't want to put one out with incorrect information as things seem to change every day. As you may have seen, the governor sent out a ruling earlier today that restaurants now have to be at less than 50% of their fire capacity. So if your restaurant sits for 100 people, you can only have 50 in your restaurant. So we will be getting a letter out to our businesses either tomorrow or Monday for that exact issue, but it keeps changing day by day. Also, as I said on our preschool, we hope preschool opens in August. As you may have seen, the governor limited schools is starting back August 17th. And we will certainly follow what the Litchfield Park School District does on that. We'll see how that happens. Preschool is planning to launch virtually or in place. If we launch in place, it'll probably be a divided classroom, but we're looking at options either way. So whatever happens, we have a plan to move forward. And that would be the main things I had. Is Richard, are you on the call with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Go ahead. Richard.
So good evening. So in your reports or your agenda, you have the Public Works monthly report. So as you can see, Public Works continues through the whole COVID. We continue to stay working out there in the field. So maintenance continues to happen. Trees throughout the city, are watered regularly, 3 times a week. The turf is being mowed and maintained. Spraying of the weeds has been under control since, the heavy rains in the past couple months. We've gotten that pretty well under control there. Our street sweeping is done on a weekly basis. And to give you a little background on the street sweeping, we do have that divided up into sections of the city that get done, like I said, once a week. Regular irrigation maintenance continues to happen on a daily basis. And a couple areas of interest, due to the COVID, Public Works staff has had to adjust in their everyday regular maintenance. So we do continue to disinfect the playground equipment once a day. Restrooms are cleaned and disinfected twice a day. And let's see, a couple key points in the areas of interest. Recently, there were 2 dead pines that were taken down on Vista Paseo on the median there due to just being a hazard. And so those were removed and stump grinded. And for the future, in the fall, the pines would be replaced with some Canary Island pines. Through our arborists, through West Coast arborists, they have suggested that it would be a better choice of a pine to be replaced there. And then per last month's meeting, Kiwanis Park has been completed as far as maintenance. So if you happen to take a ride by Kiwanis, that is all cleaned up, maintained, and that fallen saguaro will remain on the ground, per commission's request there. And I believe the other issue was a cactus located in front of the Kiwanis Park sign. We are still currently going to be working on that to get those barrel cactuses transplanted and moved on over. We did find out that Kiwanis Park sign was cemented pretty far down. So that thing's in there pretty good. So we'll just go ahead and leave that and choose to move the barrel cactus into a different location there. The good thing too is this past week, starting Monday, July 6th, the palm tree trimming has begun. West Coast Arborist has been out there. You should see them out on Bird Lane. And we do have kind of a schedule for them to follow, starting on Bird Lane, going around Villanueva into the Wigwam, Redondo sagebrush areas there. So that's a good thing there. And that's all I have. Is there any questions?
Chair recognizes Adam. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Richard. Adam Schwartz. We haven't met yet. So
How you doing, Adam?
Question. I'm doing well. I'm out here at Jackie Robinson, and we've played out here twice this week. And
Okay.
I'm a high school principal, and so I'm constantly looking at my athletic fields and things like that. And I don't know that we're mowing this and taking care of this field like an athletic field. It looks like we're taking care of it like a park. The grass is way too long. We lost one of the younger players in the outfield on Tuesday night because the grass was so long. Of course, I'm speaking to, but seriously, like you can lose a baseball in the grass, and that's not how an athletic field should be maintained. Obviously, they're not edging the lines, so the grass is starting to grow into the base paths, and it's a beautiful facility. It's got the bones to be a beautiful facility, but we do have to keep track of it. I'm not familiar with what the agreement is between Little League and the city. I understand Little League is paying the city for maintenance, but nobody has lined the field since last week, so we don't have any baselines anymore. And I'm not sure who's supposed to do that. You guys would know that better than I do, but I'm pretty sure that the city's supposed to be in charge of the grass and the edging and stuff like that. And I just think we need to take a different approach to it because the grass is so long right now. It's healthy, but it's really long. And like I said, the other big concern is the lines. Because once those get out of control, it's going to be a bear to get them back. Right now, you could spend 10 minutes a week on them and just keep them like they are. But I think if we let them go much longer, it's going to be tough to keep those lines straight. That's all I have.
Okay. Yes, sir. We can definitely look into that a little bit more. And that park is actually scheduled for tomorrow for more maintenance as well, as far as edging around the field. And it was mowed today, and we can definitely do some adjustments on there.
Yeah, I'd say if it's mowed today, I came out to just now. I said, "Oh, it looks like they mowed it," but it's still probably an inch and a half longer than it should be as a baseball field. Just based on my experience with baseball fields. But you're the expert on that stuff, so I'll leave that to you.
Okay, you got it. We will get that handled. Thank you.
Mr. Williams, there was a question somewhere within Adam's statement questions that was, so who is responsible for things like painting the lines and edging the base paths, things of that nature?
Yes, sir. Grass and edging is a duty of city staff. If I remember right, I think the baselines is on Little League. I will have to look at the agreement and see. I wrote that agreement back in February, so it's been a while. But I'm pretty sure that Little League actually does the baselines and that we do the grass maintenance. But again, I'll be glad to check the agreement tomorrow, and I will get back with you guys and let you know either way.
If I may, I can tell you from softball days, Little League, the representative from softball handled the lining, the chalk lines for Little League.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure because usually they play over at the elementary school, so that would have been an agreement with the elementary school, and they do line the fields over there. This one being a city park, I wasn't sure, so that's why I asked.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, David.
Yes, sir. Richard, I just, one of the items on your areas of interest, fencing along La Loma Homestead along Litchfield Park Road, is that going to be a a stone fence, or is that going to be a chain link fence, or what is it going to start from Camelback and go north on the west side of the road? Is that correct?
This preparing to install fencing is going to be there's a couple gaps in between the current fencing out there, and it's just barbed wire. So there's a couple openings there that we are looking to get some barbed wire, the good 5 foot, 6 foot T-post, and line it up with barbed wire just to close those openings up. There's about 3 or 4 openings there, and then we're going to do our best to match kind of the old fencing that is there. Again, just to close up the openings right off of Litchfield Road.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Richard, I'm sorry. I had one other thing I forgot to ask about.
No problem.
The mound needs more clay. It's about 5 feet under the pitching rubber, or 5 inches under the pitching rubber right now, just getting worn down. It just needs more clay on there.
Okay. I believe that might be something that Public Works does have to handle. Again, like Matthew referred to, we can double check into the agreement and make sure we get that handled and taken care of.
And I just have one question too. There's a stretch of grass on Litchfield Road, not too far south of the Camelback intersection. If you're driving south, it's on your right, that has turned brown. Is that something that the city is in charge of, or is that the HOA for that neighborhood?
That is part of the HOA.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
I couldn't hear you, Richard.
I believe, was that Sonny?
Yeah, it was me. We're starting to get off, unless that was on the agenda. I think we can certainly tell you about that after the meeting, but unless that was part of the agenda, we're starting to get off the agenda.
That's correct.
Yeah, well, related in the sense that regular irrigation maintenance and things of that nature, but you're right, it is kind of off topic, so I'll catch up with Richard on it later. Is there anything else for Richard and Matthew regarding their report? Okay. Commissioners, are we on Commissioners' report for current events? This is the time commissioners may present a brief summary on current events. The commission may not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take any legal action on the information presented pursuant to ARS 38-431.02. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Andy.
Well, this is about the only current event that I can think of, since there really aren't any right now. But I rode my bike past Sagebrush Park. I think that's what it's called, that little triangle that was a combo effort between the Eagle Scout project and the city, and also some private businesses that donated supplies and labor and things like that. And I just want to say that I think it turned out really, really well compared to what it used to look like on that little triangle corner. It looks really nice, and the city's doing a good job of keeping it healthy and clean, and there's a trash can there, so that makes me happy. That's all.
David?
Yep. So I think most of you know I live right next to the lake, and I got to tell you, we got lots of people going to our lake every single day. They're there in the morning, they're there in the day. I see people out there in 110-degree weather fishing, and I'm not sure there's going to be any fish left. They keep catching those fish left and right. So Richard, whatever you guys are doing at the lake is doing great, and it looks good too. I walk around as often as I can. So thank you and your staff for keeping that. Seems to be a real popular place for people to go walking. So thank you.
Thank you, David. Public Works staff, they are trying to do their best every day. So we appreciate that.
Anything else? Okay, that just leaves adjournment, everybody.
You want a motion?
Yeah, would anybody like to motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All opposed? Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
Nancy.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Bye.
guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
You too.
You too.